Hey folks, CA Rachna Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very important video which has been requested by a lot of people, and this video is going to be about NPS. It's going to be 100% practical approach on NPS, and the top 5 things that we are going to discuss today are: what is an NPS, who can be a part of the scheme, all you need to know about opening an NPS account, NPS tax benefit, and the most important part is EPF versus PPF versus mutual fund versus NPS, which is better. Before we move on, if you can dedicate just one weekend to upgrade your skills, I highly recommend this 2-day free AI training by Outskill, who is the partner for today's video and also world's first AI focused education platform, which is backed by top AI investors and founders. It's a live 16-hour program happening this Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And though it's valued at 10,000 rupees, you'll get it absolutely free because you are a part of our community. You'll learn something like prompt engineering, no code data analysis, and a lot more. Over 1 lakh professionals from 40 plus countries, including those in tech, sales, marketing, HR, business, have already joined this workshop. I'm getting my entire team to attend this, and you should too. Slots are filling fast, so just click the link in the description, book yours now, and don't forget to join the WhatsApp group for more updates. Also, there is an intro session happening this Friday at 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, so don't miss it. Now let's get started with absolute basics as to what is NPS. Now many people feel this is National Pension Scheme, but wait. If you remember earlier, whoever was a government employee used to get a specific pension under the old pension scheme. But in 2004, government came up with something called as New Pension Scheme, NPS, which was later renamed as National Pension System, which is the current full form of NPS. Okay, till here? Yes. Now, in 2004, it was made mandatory for all the government employees, and in 2009, this scheme was also open for all other citizens. Okay, and in fact, a lot of people were encouraged to be a part of NPS mainly for two purposes. One, and which is the most, I mean, the biggest purpose, which is save for your own retirement, invest for your own retirement, and just to give some added advantage. Government said if you do that, we'll also give you a tax boost, we'll give you some tax saving. Okay, so we are going to understand about all the nitty-gritties of NPS, but one thing you need to understand that this is regulated by someone. Which authority? It is PFRDA, which is the Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority. Simple till here. Now we have to understand that who can actually invest in NPS. Okay, and for that I'm going to take you to a website. This is called as npstrust.org.in. I'm going to give the link in the description box. Now this is for whom? NPS scheme is for central government employees, like I told you. It is also for state government employees. It is for employees in the corporate sector as well. But what about people who are working with sole proprietors, with partnership firm, with different trusts, or are self-employed, or are homemakers? What about them? If they want to invest in NPS, then what? They then fit into the all citizen category. We also have NPS Swavalamban, which is more for self-help groups, the unorganized sector. And also we have UPSCG, which is Unified Pension Scheme for central government basically. And NPS Vatsalya, which I did not talk about. NPS Vatsalya is for minors. And this was introduced, I think, in September 2024, where you, as parents, I can also open an NPS account for my minor. Okay, so all these people are eligible to open an NPS account. Now, if I talk about 10 years ago, 2016-17, how much was the subscriber base? Around 1.5 crores. You can check here. 1.5 crores roughly in 2016-17. And from there, we have almost double in the last 10 years. Now, the overall subscriber base for NPS is 2 crore 1,36,236. But though the number of investors in NPS has doubled in the last 10 years from 1 crore to 2 crore, let's check how much money has come into NPS. 2016-17, it was 1,72,675 crores. That is the AUM, correct? 1,72,675 crores. And from here, it has gone to 14,74,298. Again, rupees in crores. I think this is almost 8 times roughly. So number of subscribers has doubled and AUM has gone almost 8 times. And I think this shows the overall enthusiasm about NPS. Now you can imagine so many people, such a huge AUM. Don't you think there should be a separate agency who is going to maintain all these records? I'm sure you have heard the names of all these agencies, which are also called as CRAs. One example, CAMS, you might be aware about this. Second one is K Fintech. But the third one, which almost has 97% of the business, is Protein. Now let's understand as to how can you open an NPS account, because now you know that there are a lot of people who have already opened an NPS account. So just in case you are having that FOMO right now, I'm going to tell you how to open that NPS account, right? First things first, if you are a person who is an old school person, offline, simple, you can visit a bank, something like a nationalized bank or a private sector bank. You can also go to the post office and you can tell them that, okay, I want to open an account. But of course, not all bank branches will entertain this. So for example, in Pune, let's say I'm visiting ICICI Bank Sadashivpet branch. They may say that amchakade nahi, you can't open an NPS account here. Maybe you'll have to go to Shivaji Nagar branch and then open an NPS account with them. Okay, simple. So not all branches will have this NPS account facility. But can you open this account online as well? And answer is obviously yes. I'm going to again take you to a website which is enps.nsdl.com. Again, all authentic websites. I'm going to give you the link in the description box as well. Now, let's say you want to start your retirements. See, here also you can say invest to secure your retirement and also to save taxes. I told you all these points. So what do? Apply now. Now, once you say apply now, who are you? What is this? Individual NPS Vatsalya government subscribe. We know this, right? I told you in the immediate previous section of the video. So for me, it's going to be this category because I am a self-employed person. I just say register now, and this is the start point of your registration process. Enter your birth date, PAN, mobile number, email ID, and then you say begin registration. It's a very, very, very basic process. Just follow step by step and you will be easily able to open the account. Now, while you open the account, you will also be required to tell whether you want to go ahead with a tier 1 account or a tier 2 account. But wait, you can't open a tier 2 account before opening a tier 1 account. In simple words, if you want to open an NPS, tier 1 is mandatory, tier 2 is optional. So you can say I want tier 2 plus tier 1 account. It's not either or. Simple till here. Now, if I'm talking about lock-in, what about tier 1 lock-in? Of course, there are a lot of conditions, for what purpose do you want to withdraw the money, and otherwise what, as a standard rule, what could be the lock-in? There are a lot of terms and conditions. What we'll do, we'll talk about lock-in towards the end of the video, so keep on watching the video till the end. But if I'm talking about a tier 2 account, in this case, there is no lock-in specific requirements. You can have unlimited withdrawals whenever you want to. Okay. What about the minimum contribution to open? For a tier 1 account, it's 500 rupees. For a tier 2 account, it's 1000 rupees. And what is the minimum contribution per year? It is at least 1000 rupees annual contribution. And if I'm talking about a tier 2 account, there is no minimum annual contribution requirement. Okay. Now, okay, till now you have understood NPS account, how to open. I talked about online mode, offline mode. Then I said, okay, tier 1 or tier 2. Tier 1, so it's mandatory. Then we said that, okay, once you say I want to open a tier 1 account, then they'll ask you what is your choice. Whether you want to go ahead with an auto choice or whether you want to go ahead with an active choice. Now, what is this? What is auto and active? Basically, you are offered 3 different categories. Which 3 categories? What type of investor are you? Are you an aggressive investor, or are you a moderate investor, or are you a conservative investor? How will that be decided? Of course, that will be decided based on your risk profile. If you are a high risk taker, you will be categorized as an aggressive investor. If you are a medium risk taker, you will be categorized as a moderate risk taker. And if you are a low risk taker, you will be treated as a conservative risk taker or a conservative investor, basically. Okay. Now, based on your risk profile, automatically they'll tell you this much is to be allocated in equity and this much in others. In others is basically obviously debt. Now, debt could be something like corporate bonds, it could be something like government bonds and all. Okay. Now, if I'm talking about an aggressive investor, 75% equity allocation will be done and balance in debt, as I told you, corporate bonds, government bonds, whatever. And the allocation, this 75% allocation can be allowed till you attain the age of 35. But after 35 till the age of 55, this equity allocation will go on reducing by 4% every year. At the age of 55, it will be only 15% in equity, balance in debt. Simple till here. If I'm talking about a moderate category of investor, it will be 50% in equity, 50% in debt, and 50% maximum allocation will be allowed till the age of 35, then it will keep on reducing by 2% every year, and eventually it will be reduced to 10% equity exposure by the age of 55. And if I'm talking about a conservative risk taker, maximum 25% equity allocation will be allowed till the age of 35, then it will go on reducing by 1% every year, and at the end of 55th year, only 5% equity exposure will be remaining, balance will be debt. Simple till here. But if you say, Arey, this is very simple, your system is only going to tell me how much equity exposure, how much debt exposure. Here, I want to choose how much I want in equity and how much in debt. Then you go ahead with the second one, which is active choice. Of course, I do have an NPS, I have an account in NPS, and I have chosen the active choice. Now here I get to choose in a tier 1 account how much I want in equity, how much in debt. In debt, as I mentioned, corporate bonds, government securities, it could also be AIFs, and they have given a cap on investment. Maximum equity, how much you can have as a part of your NPS portfolio, maximum 75%. What do you think I've done? You can do the guess what rightly, I guess. If you're talking about debt, you can have 100% exposure either in corporate bonds or even in government securities. But if you're talking about investing in AIFs, maximum 5% is allowed. Okay. Now, if I'm talking about a tier 2, which is not mandatory, if you want, you can take it optional. Here, there is no cap on investment. You can do either 100% equity or 100% corporate bonds or even 100% government securities. I hope the entire discussion about where to open the NPS account, which could be the two different choices, and what is the exact difference between tier 1, tier 2, everything is absolutely clear. Now let's understand that, okay, you have chosen the account, okay, let's say tier 1 account, and you have gone ahead with an active category, okay. But now you have to ultimately choose which pension fund you want to go ahead with. But could there be a lot of pension funds to choose from? Absolutely yes. And I'm just going to give you an example. I'm on ET Money website. You can see here HDFC pension fund, SBI pension fund, ICICI there's an entire list of which pension funds are available for you to choose from. If you ask me, which one should I go ahead with? Of course, I'm not going to tell you the answer for that. But typically, we say higher the AUM or higher the fund size, it shows the confidence of the investors. Okay, so possibility number one, you can check AUM. And here you can see fund size 38,000 crores for HDFC pension fund, 27,000 crores for SBI pension fund, ICICI Pru 14,000 crores. I think this is already sorted from highest to lowest. So these three funds basically are the funds which have highest fund size. Now you can also check where the subscribers are highest, and I think this will also be these are the top 3, absolutely. So again, by subscriber base or by fund base, both these are higher, so shows more overall trust of the investors is towards these 3 schemes or these 3 pension funds, I can say. Even if you're talking about returns, don't just compare the returns, because obviously past returns are never a guarantee of future returns. And here the problem is, you can see only 5-year returns. Ideally, this is about retirement, so ideally you should see a longer time frame. So what I'm going to do, again, I'll take you to the website of NPS Trust, and here you can see, now let's say we are talking about some equity tier 1 category. Okay, so here we'll go ahead with 10 years. Okay, kya baat hai? If you have chosen equity, see, E stands for equity and tier 1 account, simple, equity and tier 1, you will see that equity has given somewhere between 12% to 13.5%. Simple. So this will tell you what kinds of returns can you expect from an equity tier 1 account. Now if you choose, let's say, scheme G tier 1, scheme G, basically here more exposure, maximum exposure will be given to government bonds. Here what is the return? You can see, okay, let's go ahead with 10 year again. So here it is somewhere around 8 to 9% for 3 years, let us say. It was again roughly 9% ish. Okay, and if you're talking about corporate bonds, here you can see a lot of them going into the 10% category also. So government bonds will give you a lower, it's a regularly high risk high return principle. A little bit more returns you can expect in corporate bonds, and higher returns you can expect in equity. Okay, and it's exactly the same. Like for mutual funds you have NAVs, same for NPS also you'll have NAVs. And of course we'll check, see, if you talk about 1 year, just as an example, right, if I'm talking about ICICI scheme equity tier 1, you will see, oh baap, it was going down and up. Don't check 1 year, check for 10 years. Okay, now we'll see whatever, acha, face value 10 maybe. And from here you can see, of course I can see the start point here as 21, maybe it has, let's go to all. Here you can see starting with 10, right? And then you can look at the steady rise. Of course, this is COVID ka fall, but from there also it has gone up and up and up. Okay. But if you were to switch from what to what, let's say you want to switch from ICICI to Kotak, or from HDFC to ICICI, or whatever, you are allowed such a switch only once a year. Okay. But if you want to switch within the scheme, so from let's say scheme E tier 1, you want to go ahead with scheme C tier 1 or scheme G tier 1, such 4 switches are allowed within a year. Don't do it for time pass. Okay. Switch only if you feel the need to do so. So I hope this entire part is also absolutely clear. Now let's come to a very, very interesting part, which is the tax benefits on NPS. Because if you remember, in the beginning of the video only, I told you that NPS is not only about retirement planning, it's also about taxation angle. So I want your 100% attention here, because there are some points which are applicable only to people who are under old regime, some under new regime. So focus, right? We're going to talk about 3 sections here: 80 CCD 1, 80 CCD 1B, and 80 CCD 2. Okay. Now, out of these first two, 80 CCD 1 and 80 CCD 1B, both talk about employee contribution, right? And if I'm talking about the third section, which is 80 CCD 2, that is about employer's contribution. Simple, clear. So first we'll focus on the first two, which is about employees' contribution. Now, everyone might be aware about this, that this being 80 CCD1, it will fall under the section 80C limits. And you might be knowing this, that there is an upper limit of 1,50,000 rupees as a deduction, which is available under section 80C. Okay. But if I were to exactly spell it out for you, section 80 CCD1 says that if you are a self-employed NPS subscriber, so here we are not talking about salaried employees, we are talking about self-employed subscribers. Self-employed NPS subscribers can claim a deduction up to 20% of their gross income, or 1,50,000, whichever is less. Okay. So if a person is doing a contribution of 1,50,000, and if that is, you will have to check whichever is less, 20% of gross income or 1,50,000, whichever is less, that will be as a deduction which will be available. Okay. But assume that the person has also contributed an additional 50,000 rupees. Employee contribution only I'm talking about, self-employed. In that case, under 80 CCD 1B, an additional 50,000 rupees deduction will be available. So in this example, a total of up to 2 lakh rupees can be available as a deduction. Okay. Of course, you have to contribute 2 lakh to get the deduction of 2 lakhs. Okay. What if the person is a salaried individual? It's actually the same, 1,50,000 under 80 CCD 1 and 50,000 under 80 CCD 1B. Just a small change out there. For salaried NPS subscribers, they can claim a deduction up to 10% of their basic salary plus DA, or 1,50,000, whichever is less. So this whichever is less wala point, there is a small change. Otherwise, it's more or less the same. Okay. But now if you're really jumping with joy, wow, I can claim a deduction up to 2 lakh rupees. Wait, this is applicable only for old tax regime people. Okay. For a new tax regime, none of these, neither 80 CCD 1 nor 80 CCD 1B, none of them is applicable. So employee contribution, no tax benefit. And now if you ask me, this is going to again give you, oh my god, wala feeling. Why? In financial year 23-24, around 74% of the taxpayers had opted for the new regime. And it is expected that nearly 90% of the taxpayers may opt for the new regime in the next year. So none of them is going to get the employee contribution benefit. Okay. But everyone knows about the tax slabs, higher tax slabs. So up to 12 lakhs, zero tax. All these is for what? That is for new regime, right? And the tax slabs are also different for new regime. Now let's focus on one more very important point. Now we are talking about employer's contribution. Okay, till here, no? We're talking about employee contribution till now. Now I'm going to focus on tax benefits on employer's contribution. This is under section 80 CCD 2, and guess what? This one is applicable for both tax regimes, be it old or new. If you are under the old tax regime, you will get a deduction up to 10% of basics, up to 10% of salary. Salary means basic plus dearness allowance. And in fact, if you are under a new tax regime, you will get a deduction up to 14% of salary. Salary includes basic plus DA. Here I am talking about what? Employer's contribution to NPS. And for a change, new tax regime has higher deduction possibility, right? But if you are a government sector employee, then be it old regime or new regime, the government contribution, employer contribution here will be government contribution up to 14% of salary. Again, salary is basic plus DA. That will be eligible for deduction. Under which section? Under 80 CCD 2. I hope it's absolutely clear till here. But wait, there is one more very, very important point, a very nice point that I found on this website, which is SBI Pension Fund. Now, if this part is not clear to you, it's okay. Okay, a little bit slightly in detail point here. Now, this one says, I'm just going to go to the relevant part here. Kindly note wala part, okay? Something really interesting. Kindly note that all contributions by both employee and employer under all the sections listed for tax benefits have a maximum limit of 7.5 lakhs that include contributions to PF, superannuation fund and NPS under old tax regime. So right now I talked about 1,50,000, correct? Plus 50,000 rupees. But that was only for NPS, na? Superannuation fund will also have a limit. PF will also have a limit. All this, so 80C to 80U, whatever, all this will have a maximum limit of 7.5 lakhs under what? Old regime. However, under the new tax regime, entire limit of 7,50,000 will be available under section 80 CCD2. So maximum contribution here, employer's contribution I'm talking about, if it is up to even 7.5 lakh rupees, that can be eligible for deduction. So I hope this last point, something interesting I found on SBI Pension Fund website. So I thought of showing you the website. I'll also give the link of this website in the description box. Now let's understand about the tax benefits for a tier 2 NPS account. It's actually very similar to the previous one. Same like ATC ke liye you have 1,50,000 ka deduction and all that, right? But here you have a minimum lock-in period for 3 years. So if you want this ATC ka 1,50,000 ka deduction, your investment gets locked in for a minimum period of 3 years. And of course, you might have already guessed it right, that this deduction is not available for people who are under the new tax regime. Okay, simple and clear for NPS tier 2 account. Now, all this was for what? This was when you do an investment in NPS account. Okay, so that is why if I'm talking about old tax regimes, there are a lot of exemptions available, lot of deductions available when you are investing in the NPS account. Question is, what about withdrawing money from NPS? Are exemptions or are deductions available for when you are withdrawing that amount, right? So if I'm talking about a tier 2 account first, it's a very small one, so we'll start with tier 2 account. Whenever you are withdrawing money from a tier 2 NPS account, whatever withdrawal you are doing, that is taxable as per your tax slabs. So if you are into the 30% tax slab, you will be taxed at 30%. If you are into the 10% tax slab, you will be taxed at 10%. Simple till here. Now if I'm talking about a tier 1 NPS account, okay, let's start with a very basic point that tier 1 NPS account, it fully matures. So at the age of 60 now, what happens at the age of 60? This will be split. If you remember, I told you this will be split into 60 and 40. Means what? 60% is the maximum amount you can withdraw even when you retire at the age of 60. So as a simple example, assume that you have 100 rupees, just for simplicity, 100 rupees at the time of retirement. Out of that 60, you can withdraw and this entire money will be tax free. So 60% of whatever is your entire corpus at your retirement age, that you can withdraw at one shot and entire amount will be tax free. What about the balance 40? Balance 40 basically gets converted into annuity. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute or two. But this annuity amount will be taxable as per your tax slabs. But wait, entire 40% is not taxed at one shot. It's annuity, na? So that 40% remaining, some amount will be paid every single year, and that is the reason why it is called as annuity. Correct? Every year some amount you will receive out of that balance 40%. And this amount that you receive every year, that will be taxed as per your tax slab. Simple. So one is at retirement, what happens? But what if you have to withdraw that money before retirement? There could be certain there could be certain emergencies. So these are the set of predefined emergencies as examples. If you want, you can withdraw up to how much? Almost up to 25% of the self-contributed amount. That is the amount that you can withdraw. It's not your amount that you are investing plus returns on that. It's not the present value of your entire money. It's only 25% of the amount that you have contributed that you will get as that will be your permissible amount for partial withdrawal, and that amount will be tax free. That will be exempt basically. Okay. What if you want to do a withdrawal on premature exit? In this case, up to 20% of accumulated corpus. Now here it's not about your contribution. It's about up to 20% of accumulated corpus you can withdraw as a premature exit, and this amount will also be tax free. Okay. Now the point that one more thing you have to understand is what would be the case if there is an unfortunate death of the subscriber who has opened the NPS account. Unfortunate death, if it happens, of course, whatever amount the nominee is going to get, that will be tax free. Okay, that person who is getting this amount, the nominee will not have to pay any tax on that. Now let's come back to the point which I was talking about. Whatever is your amount, 60%, 40%. That 40% that you are going to get, that will be as an annuity. So I'm giving you a list of all the annuity service providers. All these are what? Insurance companies. So these insurance companies are basically going to give you some annuity plan. You can choose any of these. They'll help you with an annuity plan, and they will ensure that you get some amount every single year so that you can satisfy your daily needs. Okay, but very important point is that there is no GST applicable on the NPS corpus, which is being invested in the annuity plan. And the entire list that I showed you, this entire list was PFRDA approved list. Now the points that I discussed right now, what is about taxation on withdrawal, it's very important to understand that whatever I told you, these were like basic but important points. If you want to learn about all those 5 points in absolute detail, I'm also going to give you a blog about all these 5 points. Link of that blog will be there in the description box and in the pinned comment. Now let's move on with our grand finale. EPF as a retirement solution, PPF as a retirement solution, mutual fund as a retirement solution versus NPS as a retirement solution. Which one is better? And for that, I have done a nice chart, comparative chart. So let's have a look at it and understand the pros and cons or different points for different investment avenues. And have a look at this. Now, first and foremost, eligibility criteria. For EPF, it's applicable only for salaried employees. PPF, mutual fund, NPS, it's open to public. Okay. Product type, be it EPF or PPF, both are debt based. And because they are debt based, the risk profile involved here will be low, and obviously the returns involved will also be comparatively low. For EPF, I'm giving you the latest rates, it's 8.25%, and for PPF, it is 7.1%. Okay. Now let's talk about mutual funds. For mutual funds, you can choose whether you want to go ahead with equity or debt or hybrid. And similarly, if you remember, for NPS also I told you whether you want to go for auto or what, up to 75% equity, or you remember I talked about all these points. So you have to decide what is the asset mix that you want, and based on the asset mix you choose, your risk profile will vary from moderate to high in both cases. Of course, in NPS you can also choose 100% debt. If you remember, in that case for NPS it will be low, and depending on what you choose, your returns will vary. If you're going ahead with equity focused, it will be 12 to 15%. Same here. If you're going for debt focused, 7 to 9%. GSEC bonds, similarly 7 to 9%. And if you're going for AIFs, alternatives, it would be somewhere around 7 to 8%. It could also, again, this alternatives could vary. Okay. Now, if I'm talking about lock-in period, for EPF, until retirement age, you have to keep your funds locked in. For PPF, first is 15 years. If you renew your PPF, it will be 5 years. If I'm talking about mutual funds, typically for retirement oriented mutual funds, so these are solution oriented mutual funds, typically it will be 5 years. And for NPS, it will be until retirement age. But if you remember, in the previous section, I've told you when can you even withdraw on a premature basis. What about what happens at maturity? At maturity, you can withdraw 100%. Same here. But for NPS, 60% can be withdrawn. I told you just in the previous section, right? As tax free, you can withdraw, and balance 40% goes as an annual plan. Basically, this plan ensures that you get a lump sum money at retirement, and also every year you will keep on getting some money. Okay. Who regulates these investment options? For EPF, it's EPFO. PPF is government backed, mutual fund SEBI, and NPS PFRDA. Investment fee, there is no investment fee for EPF or PPF. For mutual funds, I'm sure you might have heard about the term expense ratio. Same, we are talking about investment fee like an expense ratio. It will vary from 0.3% to 1.8% depending upon per scheme. And for NPS, it's 0.03% to 0.09% per annum. So I hope here clearly NPS is a winner for as compared to mutual fund, because here the expense ratio is extremely less. Okay. I of course talked only about investment fee. Tax benefits, exempt, be it on contribution, interest, withdrawal. Same cases with PPF. Mutual fund depends on schemes, and NPS tax benefit, I've told you in detail in the previous section, whether it is what tier 1 or tier 2, employer contribution, employee contribution, old scheme, new scheme, everything I've discussed. Minimum contribution, maximum contribution. 12% roughly of salary, employee contribution. Maximum, no limit. For PPF, 500 minimum, 1.5 lakhs maximum per year. Mutual funds 5,000 to 10,000 typically minimum contribution, maximum no limit. And for NPS 1,000 per annum, minimum 500 contribution. And if I'm talking about maximum, again there is no limit. Now if you ask me which one is the best, who is the winner, to be honest there is no winner per se. It depends on your risk taking appetite. If you have as good as near zero risk taking appetite, even EPF PPF can be good options, but you can also go out with 100% debt exposure in NPS. You also have a very good tax benefit in NPS. And if you are looking more for returns perspective, mutual funds could be a choice, but again very less tax benefit which is available here, plus expense ratio is also shade on a higher side. So you tell me which is your preferred choice for retirement funds in the comment section below. Well, I hope you learned a lot in today's video. I know this was a long video, but this was like a one-stop solution for all you needed to know about NPS. If you did, please don't forget to smash the like button. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends. Don't forget to check out the links in the pinned comment and in the description box. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye.